On the Gridiron, presented to you by Lone Star Steakhouse and Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL.
2 weeks left to go in the NFL season. Andy Wheeler, Dave Delgado, Ken Sinicolas, and I am merely Jason Salas, bringing up the rear in our KUAM Pigskins Pick'em. Literally, I am ranked 121. You know, guys, before we get into the games, Andy, you are the highest, I believe, on our Pigskin Pick'ems chart. How do you get so good so often?
I don't know. I've had a bunch of terrible weeks. I think like third of the way through the season, I had a few good weeks strung together. But then after that, it was like 8 losses, and then I had 6 losses. Last week I had 5, but I'm still up there, so I'll take it. If I finish top 10, I'll be happy.
If you would ever write a book on making pigskin picks, I'm going to buy one for the office, one for the house, and one for the car.
All right, good.
Because I clearly need help. Dave, you're doing really well this season.
Yeah.
What's your strategy when you make your picks?
Well, sometimes you got to go for the underdog.
Or the Niners.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I never go against my team. But if I wasn't a loyal fan, and I did, I'd probably be up there too. But you got to stick with your guns, man. Stay with your squad, and I'm staying with the Niners. My goal is to end in top 20 like I did last year. I was 45th. I'm now 28th last 2 weeks ago. So hopefully I get some picks going my way and get to that top 20 spot.
All right. Well, Ken, you've always been someone who believes in data, and you know numbers don't lie, but they never tell the whole truth. How do you assess and evaluate like teams when you're making your picks?
Well, I'm not.
Or do you just flip a coin?
I'm not the greatest prognosticator, and I assume that a lot of other people who play the game are a lot better than me. So if there's like a glaring, overwhelming like majority picking one team, then I'm like, oh yeah.
Okay. Stick with the numbers. Yeah.
But like, you know, for the rest of them, you know, I just look at the injury reports or, you know, see who's playing well and, you know, pick that way.
All right.
Yeah.
So basically take our 4 collective approaches and everything, scientific method right out the window.
Never mind. Yep.
Yeah.
Just go with your gut.
Well, someone who is doing really well in our KUM Pigskin Pick'ems contest is this week's winner.
Yeah, our Week 15 winner. Congratulations to Edward Maratita. He got 14 games correct last week, and last week's a very competitive week. 1 through 20 separated by like a 14 to 13 games correct.
Wow.
So let's come into KUM and pick up your prize.
All right, well, you want to make sure to catch KUM TV because one of our games of the week, we have 2 big games this week. And Andy, it's the Giants at the Vikings, which under normal circumstances would be a decidedly favorite game from the G-Men from New York. But they're missing a certain wide receiver because of some incident he had. I believe it was mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, they heard his appeal and they decided, nope, you're still suspended 1 game. So Beckham, he's out for this game against the Vikings, which, I mean, it's going to be interesting because the Giants, the way they played against Carolina, came back and they were really on it, looking good. But Teddy Bridgewater's having a great season. Adrian Peterson, he's on the team. You can't really always count them out if they've got those 2 guys there. So it's in Minnesota, and Minnesota's really making that push to clinch the division. So I think they're going to go out there, they're going to give it their all, and I picked the Vikings at home.
And Ken, what is the split for this game?
81% going with the Vikings, you know, with Odell out, and the division rankings in play here. I think a lot of people are going with Minnesota.
Dave, what do you see in this game? Because like Andy said, Teddy Bridgewater is having a fantastic season, only his 2nd year in the league. If Cam Newton does in fact go to the Super Bowl and can't play in the Pro Bowl, might we see Teddy Ballgame, as he's being called now? Like
don't call him Teddy Ballgame.
Yeah, well,
There's only one Teddy Ballgame, all right?
Yeah, New England fan.
Jeez.
Ted Williams.
I'm going with, you know, Teddy Bridgewater and the Vikings. I see it come down to the 4th quarter. You know, the Giants haven't been able to close out games. They've been losing close ones. And in the 4th quarter, you just give it to your running back. And I think Adrian Peterson rushes for over 100 yards. And he steps up big in the 4th quarter for the Vikings.
Andy, would you start Teddy Bridgewater in your fantasy league this year? Last week, he had a monster game. 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. This week, you know, the Giants' defense can be pretty stout, but he is playing at home.
Yeah, he is playing at home. I don't think anybody in the league picked him up on their fantasy. He may be available on waivers or whatnot, but going up against that Giants secondary, he's going to have a pretty decent game. I think there are other quarterbacks out there that are going to give you way more fantasy points. But Teddy Bridgewater, if your guy is injured, your backup, you know, whatever, he's available, might as well pick him up.
All right, well, the Sunday night football game, gentlemen, and Ken, we'll start with you. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We had a lot of Steelers games this season, guys.
Yeah.
They are going into Baltimore to play the Ravens. Steelers looking ahead to the playoffs. Ravens basically looking at the college ranks and seeing who they can have in the first round, because apparently if they continue on the path that they're on right now, they're going to have a real high pick.
Yeah, and the scores at home reflect that. 93% going with Pittsburgh, so that's the biggest disparity in the rankings this week. So.
Well, Dave, you've played in real life in many, many grudge matches and everything like that, so that does count for something. Steelers and Ravens for the last decade has been a huge match where it's always a pride game. Guys go the extra mile. Could the Ravens actually pull the upset?
No, I think offensively they have too many key injuries. You know, Flacco out, they're starting running back out. So this is not going to be one of those games that Pittsburgh's going to come out, you know, really fueled and pumped up for this game. I mean, they're going to come out. I think they take advantage of that first half and put points on the board, and then just cruise in the second half. I don't think Baltimore has enough firepower to hang with them. So I see Pittsburgh winning this at least by, I want to say 2 touchdowns.
At least, yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah, Andy, that combination of Big Ben to Antonio Brown, you've talked about this multiple times per season. Nobody's been able to stop that. Why?
Antonio Brown, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the fastest guy, but just something about him. He's one of those dudes that can get open. He can stretch the field, take the top off the defense, or he can run those, you know, middle routes. And nobody's got an answer for it. He's just a smart football player, good receiver. And the season that him and Big Ben are having when they are healthy and in the lineup is ridiculous. And this is not the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Baltimore's defense. So Big Ben and Antonio Brown are going to have a field day. And D'Angelo Williams. Colder weather up there this time of year. D'Angelo Williams is going to get a lot of carries, and I think they're just going to light up the Baltimore defense.
All right, well, gentlemen, it's been a treat. We got 1 week after this one coming into it. That's going to be heading towards the new year, so happy holidays to all of you and your families.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and happy holidays to all of you out there. Thanks so much for playing with us. But remember, the season's not over yet, so you can still register your team at KUAM.com/Pickems. Make your picks, get on the leaderboard. I'll be way at the bottom. I'll be like that guy down there with the funny team name, and you'll be way up at the top. But we'll see you then. Happy holidays.
On the Gridiron, presented to you by Lone Star Steakhouse and Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL.